Something is watching me every night. I finally caught it on camera. The camera light blinked red in the dark. On the small screen, the night looked like a black ocean. I could only see shapes and the soft white of the moon through the kitchen window. Then something moved in the glass. It was right up against the window. Not like a bird or a cat. It had a face, thin and pale like candle wax, and its eyes were two deep holes that shone in the night. It didn't blink. It tilted its head the way a curious animal does, slow and careful, as if it smelled the room through the glass. My breath stopped, and I felt the ache in my throat like when you swallow ice. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My hands shook so badly I could barely press the play button. The camera feed kept running. The watcher's face filled the screen. For a full minute it just looked, watching, waiting. Then it leaned closer. Its skin rippled in a way that didn't look normal, like an old painting left in the rain. Its mouth opened a little. There was no sound from the camera, only the soft buzzing of the monitor. https://onlinenotepad.org/notepad. I reached for the sliding glass door like a puppet with strings. I had the camera remote in my hand, the one I had bought to feel safe. I clicked the light on in the living room. The bright lamp cut the night and made the face at the window recede into the dark. For a second I thought it had gone. My heartbeat hammered in my ears. I told myself there was a coat on the porch, or a reflection from a streetlight, or that my eyes were playing tricks. I walked toward the door very slowly. The wood under my foot stuck for a second, then let go. The cold met my face when I pushed the door open. The porch was empty. The night tasted like metal and wet leaves. No footprints, no shapes, nothing. Only the window with its glass that held my face back at me, pale and scared. I looked back at the monitor. The camera feed showed the window again. The reflection of my lamp and a line of light where the sliding door met the frame. For a long moment I saw nothing but my own frightened face. Then something moved behind me. The watcher was inside the house. I spun around. The living room was dark and quiet. The couch looked normal. The TV was off. The hallway to the bedrooms was a black mouth. The camera on the monitor was still pointing at the window. On it, the watcher bent down until it reached the level of the glass. With a slow, impossible motion, it raised one long, thin hand and touched the glass from the outside. The hand left a mark on the window that didn't look like a fingerprint. It looked like frost, but the house was not cold enough for frost. My throat closed. I dropped the remote. It cracked on the wooden floor. The sound felt loud as thunder. Then, nothing. No footsteps, no voice. My phone buzzed with a text from my neighbor asking if I wanted coffee in the morning. Clean, ordinary life. The watcher at the window did not move. Its little black eyes were fixed on the room like a promise. And then the watcher's head turned, not toward me but toward the hallway. It was as if it had heard something inside the house. It leaned forward and its lips moved, slow and wet, shaping a sound I could not hear through the monitor. It smiled. I turned the lamp up. Light flooded the room. The watcher pressed its face to the glass one last time. Through the reflection on the monitor I saw, for a blink, my own face and the watcher's face overlapping. For a second I could not tell which was the real face and which was the shadow. Then the feed cut to static. My heart felt like a trapped bird. I stood there in the living room, in the ordinary quiet of my small rental house in rural Ohio. The curtains, the thrift store couch, the picture of my sister on the mantel, and I could feel someone else breathing somewhere I could not see. I kept the lamp on the whole night. I slept, if it was sleep, with the light on and the monitor on my chest. The camera saved the night. The file was there on the SD card when I checked in the morning. I watched the footage again and again until my eyes burned. The watcher was on it, clear as day. That is when I did something I should have done earlier. I posted the clip online with the title, "Something is watching me every night." I finally caught it on camera. I wanted to know what it was. I wanted someone to tell me I was not losing my mind. People in the comments argued. Some said it was a prank, or a CGI effect, or a trick of light. Others wrote things like, "Don't go outside at night," or "Get out of that house." A few sent me links to old folklore about things that watch people through glass. I read the words and felt both stupid and relieved. At least I wasn't the first to be watched. But if my story had a beginning, it didn't begin the night the camera caught it. It began long before, when I moved into the house for a new start. I signed the lease in late August. The house was cheap and a little small for me, but it had a big yard and a porch where I could sit with coffee. I liked that. My name is Jason. I'm 31. I work at the college nearby, in the IT department. I like quiet. I like fixing small things. I thought this house would be my quiet spot. I didn't want the kind of home where every sound made you jump. I wanted peace. The first week was normal. I painted the kitchen blue, hung new curtains, and put up pictures. I set up a cheap security camera because I liked to feel like someone watched over the house when I wasn't there. Mostly it showed the porch and the yard. I checked the feed sometimes when I was stuck at work. Once, from my desk, I watched a raccoon climb the fence and shake like it was taking a bath. The raccoon gave me a sideways look and left. It made me laugh. Then on the third night the feeling started. It began as small things. The dog next door would stop barking for no reason at 2:03 a.m. The streetlight would go out for a few seconds and then come back on. My kettle, which I kept on a shelf, would be found off the shelf in the sink, as if someone had knocked it down to wash it. Little things that could be brushed away. You tell yourself you forgot. You tell yourself you bumped it and didn't notice. The first clear sign that something was wrong, not just forgetfulness, was the sound. It was a soft scraping like someone dragging a nail along the banister outside my bedroom window. Came at 3:14 a.m., exactly 2 nights in a row. The sound made the hairs rise on my arms. I got up and looked out, but there was nothing. Just the sky, thin and far away, and the trees that leaned like they were listening. I began to leave the camera on every night after that. I put it where it could see the porch and the side of the house. I told myself it was for evidence. If someone was breaking in, I wanted proof for the police. The camera had night vision. At first I thought the grainy green images were silly and nothing to be scared of. Then I saw the shadow. On the fourth night, at 3:14 a.m., the shadow was at the edge of the yard. It was only a dark smear at first, but it moved with intention. It did not run or jump. It walked like a person who had practiced walking very slowly. It stopped at the porch step and hovered there as if listening to the house breathe. The camera picked it up and I watched it again and again. The shape stayed outside for exactly 27 minutes. When it left, the wood floor under the porch looked wet, though it had not rained. The next morning I found a line of tiny, round smudges on the windowsill. I had to scrub to get them off. After that, nights became a pattern. The watcher came around at the same time, often circling the house, sometimes standing at the window like it wanted to peek in. It never tried the door. It watched through the glass. I would watch the live feed from the couch with a blanket over my knees and feel a cold that didn't come from the air. During the day, everything was normal. Bills arrived, I drank coffee, I fixed a broken dorm room router for the campus kids. The world was simple and the watcher was just a thing that happened at night. Neighbors had stories. Mrs. Clark from 2 houses down said her brother saw something like a man without a face when he was a kid. A neighbor on the other side, Mark, laughed and said I needed to stop watching horror movies. Mark was the kind of man who would help you fix a lawnmower and then forget he had done it. He tried to be comforting. He brought over a thermos of coffee and said we could set up lights together. Maybe it's wild animals, he said. Maybe it's kids messing around. He said things like that to make me stop looking at the camera at 3 a.m., but he did not come to the house after dark. He texted instead. The pattern continued. The watcher returned on the same nights each week, as if the world had a rhythm I could not hear. I tried to change the rhythm. I left the porch light on one night. The watcher waited until the light was bright and then came closer, close enough that I could see the shape of its fingers through the glass. The fingers had too many joints. The things on the hands looked like scales or old dough crust. Put its palm flat on the outside of the window, and something like frost spread from the point of contact. The inside of the glass fogged, but the room did not cool. My breath fogged the space between me and that thing. I felt sick to my stomach. A friend suggested I cover the cameras and forget about it. Out of sight, out of mind, she said. I tried that. I covered the camera lens with tape and went to bed early. That night, the scraping came again, now at the back door. I woke and found the tape peeled off and placed on the kitchen counter like a flag. I started taking notes in a notebook. Time, date, what the watcher's shape looked like, how long it stayed. The notes filled pages. The watcher's pattern was precise. It wasn't random. It was patient. It watched me. Between the nights, there were quiet days. I would mow the lawn like nothing had happened. I would go grocery shopping and pick out cereal like a normal man. Daylight made the horrors shrink to something manageable. I told myself those ordinary things were real anchors. I slept less and less. My face had dark rings under my eyes. My friends started to ask if I was all right. I lied. I said I was fine. Then I made the mistake of bringing more eyes into the house. A small group of people on a message board I posted to offered to help. They were like me, some brave, some a little reckless. One of them, a woman named Erica, drove 2 hours to see the footage. She had a camera of her own, better than mine, and she said she knew how to catch light tricks and edit. She was calm and practical. If this is a hoax, she said, we'll find out. If it's not, we'll know why. She had a steady voice that made me breathe a little easier. That night, we slept downstairs in the living room with the cameras set up everywhere. 3 cameras in total, one at the front, one at the side window, and one in the hallway pointing toward the bedrooms. We watched the monitors like sentinels. The night stretched on, black and steady, and then at 3:14 a.m. the monitors showed movement. The watcher came first to the front window. Then, as if deciding, it walked the length of the house. Erica leaned forward. Her fingers were white on the arm of the chair. The hallway camera, the one pointing to the bedrooms, showed blinking light as its night vision found shape. The watcher stopped at the hallway entrance. It lifted its head and, as slowly as a tide, it looked straight into the camera. For the first time, I saw what I thought were eyes reflect the camera's green light. Then something impossible happened. On the hallway camera, for a single frame, it looked like the watcher's face bent down and its mouth opened wide. The image burned for a blink, and then the feed returned to show the house empty and my sleeping chest rising and falling under the blanket. I sat up and the blanket fell. I felt suddenly very cold. Outside, the porch light flickered. Erica whispered, "Did you see that?" Her voice was small. We rewound the footage. We slowed it frame by frame. On the hallway camera, there it was. The watcher's face at the doorway for a long moment, close enough to the glass to leave smeared prints. Then, the most impossible thing. The hallway camera showed the shape of me curled on the couch, sleeping. But I was not sleeping. I was sitting in the chair, staring at the screen. My hands were on my knees. The feed showed my body on the couch, chest moving slowly, like a recorded loop overlaying the live image. Erica and I looked at each other and then at the monitor. The hair on my arms rose again. The watcher turned its head slowly toward the couch on the feed, and, this was the part that made my hands go numb, it raised its hand and tapped the sleeping version of me on the shoulder. The sound in the room was only the hum of the refrigerator and the blood in my ears. On the screen, the sleeping me turned over. The watcher smiled like something that had finished a task. I ripped the SD card from the camera and shoved it into my pocket. My lungs felt hollow. I wanted to run outside and scream at it, but the night was too quiet. I wanted to call someone who could fix everything. I wanted to be anywhere but in that living room with Erica and the screens that showed me sleeping when I was not. We watched the clip one more time. The watcher was there on the window again, and then it was gone. The clip ended with the hallway camera showing the couch empty. It looked normal. I forced myself to laugh, and it sounded wrong. Erica kept looking at the monitor and at the door, like she expected something else to happen, which of course it did. From the hallway, a soft sound like a fingernail scratching across drywall came, slow and deliberate, right behind us. We both froze. The monitor showed nothing. The sound came again, closer this time, and it was not from the hallway. It was from the bedroom door behind me. I turned around. The bedroom door was closed. I could see the pale line of light under it. A shadow moved across that line. The shadow moved as if something large and long was passing in front of the door. The monitor still showed an empty couch. The scratch sound stopped. A long, low breath came from behind the door, and then a whisper, a voice like wind through dry leaves, said my name. The whisper was not louder than my own fear, but it entered my blood like ice. Jason. I stood up. My chair scraped. Erica's hand found mine on the armrest, like a lifeline. The bedroom door handle wiggled. The camera that pointed at the hallway showed the door from a distance. On the screen, the door did not move. In the room, the handle turned slowly and the knob clicked. The door began to open. I could see the crack of darkness widen. Something long and pale unfolded in that space, and from it came a faint, wet light like a dying star. The thing pushed the door open a little farther. For a heartbeat I could not see its face. Then the light slashed across the doorway, and a pale shape leaned into the room. On the monitor, the hallway camera blinked to static. I heard a sound like a soft, hungry laugh. The thing at the bedroom door looked straight at me. Its eyes were like two empty rooms. It smiled in a way that made my skin feel like paper. Then the chapter ends, but the moment does not. The watcher at the door lifted one long finger and pointed directly at me, and in the silence the house answered with a sound that could have been either a warning or a promise.